The rich get richer while the middle class, upper middle class, and the poor continue to get decimated. It's Saturday, November 9th, 2019, a beautiful evening here out in the desert. Wanted to make a quick video tonight and just go over a few articles with you and a few things that are continuing to happen around the world and right here in the United States of America. These things are going to affect every one of us. Zero Hedge today, America's richest 1% now own as much wealth as the middle and lower classes combined. We are now living in a time where we see more of the haves and have-nots. The elite continue to use this power grab to become wealthier, to become more powerful. And we have never seen wealth inequality to this level ever here in America. They are not leaving any meat on the bones for you or I. That top 1% or that top 10, 0.1% is getting all of it. You know, as we continue to watch the stock market hit all-time highs, we continue to see all this public unrest taking place around the world. Bolivia, France, Spain, Algeria, Iraq, Lebanon, Ecuador, Russia, Chile, Hong Kong, Venezuela, and the list goes on. So think about where we're at today. We have never seen so many public uprisings, yet the stock market is at all-time highs, and we are seeing complete breakdown in society across the globe. The top 10% of families as a group right here in the United States of America directly owned over 93% of all stock and mutual fund ownership. The top 1% had assets. We're talking the top 1% here in America had assets of about $35.4 trillion in the second quarter of 2019. And when we look at people who make up the 50 to 90 percentile, this is your middle class and upper middle class, they held assets of $36.9 trillion. So it's almost even now when you take the middle class and upper middle class versus the top 1%. The 1% now own just as much as our entire middle and upper middle class here in America. The wealthier the wealthy get, the more opportunity they get. Let's look at wealth growth right here in the second quarter of 2019. The 1% grew by $650 billion, while the 50 to 90 percentile, the middle and upper middle class, they grew at $210 billion. So it's not going to be very long before the 1% completely outnumber the amount of assets, the amount of wealth that the middle and upper middle class here have in America. And when we look at that number of below 50%, forget about it. They're just getting decimated. So the middle class is being decimated, the upper middle class being decimated. It is a shrinking group. That 50 to 90 percentile is shrinking. Look at their wealth. Look at their wealth growth, 210 billion versus the 1% who had $650 billion of growth just in the second quarter of 2019. This wealth inequality is going to further destroy America. It's further going to destroy your opportunity to make money and to have a future. And it's going to continue to destroy the futures of your children and of your grandchildren. Let's talk about real news, what's really happening in this economy globally, right here in America. Daimler to slash 10% of management amid global auto industry bust. That's 1,100 leadership positions that they will be cutting in the near future as the global economy continues to slow down. The global economy now is literally coming to a halt. We are going to see many more of these job losses in the auto sector, not just overseas, not in Europe, not just in Asia. We're going to see many jobs cut right here in America. This slowdown is coming to America in regards to the auto sector. We're seeing it already, and it is going to get worse. The slowdown in sales is global. So in return, what do you think that is going to happen to auto jobs all over the world, including America. We are going to see massive job losses in the auto industry right here in America. China auto sales, they fell 6% in October as global auto recession shows no signs of slowing. This is on Zero Hedge. There are no signs of the bleeding letting up. China having big trouble, super inflation taking place in their pork industry over there. Now big trouble in the auto sector over there. The massive global slowdown is just another sign of what is to come, why every one of you needs to be preparing. I know it's a beautiful Saturday evening. It's a beautiful weekend, but man, please, everybody, take some time and prepare. This thing is no joke. It continues to get worse. Wall Street Journal today, this is a great article. If you get a chance, do your homework, check it out. In this article, it's talking about what is happening in the auto sector and how so many Americans are just literally committing economic suicide. The title of this is a $45,000 loan for $27,000 ride. More borrowers are going underwater on car loans. Again, this is to impress people they don't know, to impress people they don't like. This is an absolutely massive mistake. To be buying a brand new car, number one, I think is a big mistake. Number two, to be having car payments for 7 or 8 years, or to be trading in a car before you even paid it off and taking a loss and adding that onto your next loan, that loss, that difference, huge mistake. But let me get into the article here. It talks about an electrician who's 40 years old. In 2 years, this 40-year-old gentleman signed up for 4 auto loans, each time trading in the previous car and rolling the unpaid balance into the next loan. So he bought a $27,000 Jeep Cherokee, and he still had a debt on the previous vehicle, which they rolled over into the Jeep Cherokee, making the $27,000 Jeep now a $45,000 loan. I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out that's just bad business right there. You're going to go broke by making mistakes like this. People are piling up massive debt that exceeds the car's value. This is referred to as negative equity. You and I would call it being underwater. 33% of people who traded in cars to buy new ones in the first 9 months of this year, 2019, had negative equity. It was 19% a decade ago. So now we're at 33% of people just this year, and the year's not even over, just in the first 9 months, who traded in cars to buy new ones that had negative equity. They were upside down, they were underwater, but they wanted that new shiny vehicle. So if I owe $10,000 on this loan, on this car, it doesn't matter. I want the new shiny one. So roll that $10,000 on top of the $40,000 bill on that one. So now I'll be $50,000 in debt, just so I can impress people I don't even like. Borrowers owed about $5,000 on average after they traded in their cars. It's just, you know, I'm not going to feel sorry for a lot of people when this collapse hits America. So many people are bringing on their own economic collapse by their own doing. So many people right now could be preparing, but they'd rather not. They want to go out and buy the latest fashion. They want to drive the nicest cars, whether they have to lease something that they can't afford. Or they will have payments for 7 or 8 years, just so they can say, look at me. Because these people are literally just, you know, looking for attention, acceptance. They're narcissistic. They have some kind of insufficiency. I don't know what it is, but so many people just need to be out there to impress, and by doing so, they're getting in massive amounts of debt. So many people could avoid the type of life they're living right now, but they can't stop spending. They gotta have it. They gotta have it now. They don't care how they get it, how long they finance it, how badly this is going to put them in debt. They don't care. They want it now. California's housing nightmare is only getting worse. You know, we look at the state of California, and unfortunately, at some point, I'm going to have to leave this state. There's no doubt about it. But living here, the cost of living here, the lifestyle, everything is really unsustainable. We have earthquakes, fires, mudslides, power outages. As you all know, we're going under a massive invasion here. Crime is going through the roof. Traffic is a nightmare. We got a gang epidemic, we have a drug epidemic, and they continue to attack our freedom in this once beautiful state. But in this article on Zero Hedge, California's housing nightmare is only getting worse. There's something very interesting about California, and it's the cost of living. 41.6% of people spend at least 30% of their income on housing. And many in this state are spending much more. So right here in the state of California, I mean, listen to this number, 41.6, almost 42% of people spend at least minimally 30% of their income just to make that mortgage payment or write out that rent check. Right here in the state of California. It's unbelievable. What are these people gonna do when this collapse hits America? What's this guy gonna do? What's the average person gonna do when they owe this kind of money on an automobile or SUV? I mean, the car industry and these financial institutions are really gambling here. This is the same type of behavior we saw back in 2008 that brought the whole system down. This is what's happening in the auto sector now. And it's just this bad behavior where people are completely economically irresponsible, and they are going to bring so much personal damage to their lives when this collapse hits. When credit freezes up, when we start seeing an uptick in unemployment, there is going to be massive bleeding, hemorrhaging in this economy. And these people are doing the opposite. They are being reckless. They are being careless. They are running up massive amounts of debt. They are living paycheck to paycheck. They have no savings. All they care about is today. Look at what I'm driving. I'm going to take a picture, put it on Facebook, put it on Twitter to impress people they don't even know. This is the mentality of people today. These are the sheep. These are the masses. This is the majority of people. These people are going to be led to a financial slaughter. And of course, as I've said many times, when things break financially, they break socially. These people are unprepared to deal with anything financially. They're unprepared to deal with the stress that they're going to see socially on the streets of America. Here's another one. Maybe the rich see the writing on the wall. This is on Zero Hedge today. Very good article. CEOs stepping down at highest level since 2008. The markets are booming right now, but we have a record number of CEOs that are leaving their positions, a record number just in October, the most in 1 month since the 2008 recession. In October, 172 CEOs stepped down. In the last 10 months, 1,332 CEOs are out. So ask yourself, is it a coincidence, or do these insiders know something that most people don't? While the average joke is financing a car for 8 years, 1,332 CEOs in the last 10 months have stepped down. What do they know? I don't think it's a coincidence. I'm sure most of you don't either. What is the Fed not telling you and I? What do these people know that most don't? The inverted yield curve over the past summer may have been enough warning that it was telling these CEOs it's time to get out. Most people ignore the warning signs. They ignored the inverted yield curve. They're ignoring the financial indicators that are sounding the alarm right now. Maybe Zero Hedge today, these CEOs in this article, maybe they're not ignoring the warning signs. Maybe they're paying attention to the warning signs, and that's why they're pulling those golden parachutes and getting out. So I'm going to wrap it up right here, but before I go on this beautiful Saturday evening, I see that there are two types of people here in America. People who are awake and people who are asleep. People who don't mind financing a car for 7 years or leasing a car that they can't afford to impress people. Then I see people who are watching the warning signs, people who are paying very close attention, people who are preparing, people who don't care what kind of car they're driving or what their zip code is right now. What they care about is surviving what is coming. What they care about is preparing, having a plan to prosper when this collapse hits. Most of you have probably been seeing in the news Popeye's chicken and what's been happening. Utter chaos at many Popeye's chickens across the country. This was all over the internet. Angry Americans fight over coveted chicken sandwich. This is the society and the mentality that we're witnessing here in America, where people fight over a chicken sandwich. People have been murdered over a chicken sandwich at Popeye's, assaulted, verbally assaulted, physically assaulted, threatened. It just absolutely eye-opening at times where we're living and the times that we're living in. They are biblical, no doubt. But I want you to think about a few things, and I know that the naysayers out there believe everything's okay, although you and I both know that they are far from okay. But I want you to think about something. When we read about what's happening at, fast food restaurants like Popeye's Chicken, and many times McDonald's has been in the news for the shenanigans that take place there. But I mean, literally, people have been killed at these restaurants. They've been physically assaulted, all for a hamburger or a chicken sandwich. But I want you to think about this. What do you think America's going to look like if the grid goes down? If it just went down for, I don't know, 2 or 3 days? Heaven forbid, what would it look like if it went down for 2 or 3 weeks? PG&E, our power company out here, we've had, a couple weeks ago, 2 million people without power. If it gets windy, parts of this state turn into Venezuela. They just shut your power down. You don't have any say-so. They just shut you down. What happens if they purposely shut you down for 4 or 5 weeks? What happens? What if we have a massive earthquake here in California? And we're not just the only state susceptible to earthquakes. Many Midwestern states have earthquakes now. What if EBT shuts down? What if we see a government shutdown? What if this president wins in 2020? What kind of chaos is going to spill out onto the streets of America? What if certain people in the government start getting arrested? What if there are trials for the attempted coup that has taken place and the one that's taking place right now? We know that the FBI, the Department of Justice, the CIA, many of these government organizations are completely corrupt. They need to be cleaned out. But what happens if that day comes? There's going to be another side that is going to fight that is not going to accept that. And so I believe that we will see massive violence. What happens when people start getting hungry in America? What happens when the pensions begin to fail in America? And what happens when the whole U.S. economy fails and collapses and all this starts happening at the same time? People are willing to kill you for a chicken sandwich or a hamburger. What are they going to do when their government subsidy doesn't show up, when their EBT card doesn't work, when their pensions fail, when their kids are starving, when there's no power, when the lights are out? These people are going to blame somebody, and they're going to blame people like you. So just really think about, get in the mindset and think about the potential and the possibilities of what can happen if just one of these events takes place. What if 2 or 3 of these events take place at the same time? People are willing to kill you for cutting in line at a Popeye's. They're willing to kill you for a chicken sandwich. What would they be willing to do to you if a couple real serious events take place in America? Really think about that. I'm going to leave it there today. God bless America. God bless every one of you. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to watch this video. Please share it with everyone. Put it all over your social media. And just continue praying for this great country. If America fails and goes down, the whole world is done.